We waited till midnight to order it and a week for it to arrive, but the S8 is finally here. Let's unbox the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra. And here's the box within the shipping box as it would have looked on the store shelf. A summary of the most important features. We'll be going through all of these later. Contents listed on the other side include the unit itself, the dock base, and the disposable dust bag. There are actually two, a power cable, a Vibramop cloth, and the product manual. The other side of the box just summarizes some of the main features of the unit, and we'll be going through all these features as we conduct our evaluation of the S8 Pro Ultra today. This sheet of cardboard is actually the quick start guide, which we could see exactly how this box will unbox all the various components we'll be using today. The tray, literature, power cord, extra bag, the S8 unit itself, and the base. The base is unpacked first, removing the packaging material. Then the tray will be unwrapped and installed onto the base. This is followed by the power cord, which will be plugged into the back of the unit and then ran through this cable loom on the back of the unit, dressed in as appropriate. We're ready to move into position. It came with an extra dust bag, but we'll have a look at the one in the dock in just a bit. Opening up this cardboard container, we see our safety guideline and certification. These are pictorial instructions that also act as a parts reference using an alphanumeric key. This allows you to perform simple tasks. There's also a multi-language user manual. Finally, the cardboard container is instructions to get your device onto the network. Now we'll have a look at the S8 itself as we unwrap it. We immediately see a warning sticker up front blocking the sensors, letting you know that Reactive 3D Obstacle Avoidance processes the pictures that it collects and immediately deletes them after processing, and a QR code to install the software. There are 3 buttons on the unit itself, and a sensor up top which also acts as a push button functioning as a sensor. Along with that, there are a slew of sensors which are around the outside of this unit, making our way to the front. The same sensors are found on the other side of the unit, symmetrical, and on the rear of the unit, we'll see that there's a sensor as well as a connection to fill the water. There are also bumper sensors that wrap around the front. Looking at the bottom of the unit, we see the mop head, as well as the tires, the rollers, and sensors all around the perimeter of this unit. We'll lift the top cover now and have a look inside. Here we see the air filter box removing by pulling up out of the unit. That box is then opened by depressing this tab and swinging the cover open. Pulling the filter straight out allows the removal of any obstruction from inside this box, also allowing for the washing of this reusable filter. We'll reinstall everything now, placing the filter back in, snapping it into the box securely, shutting the cover, snapping it closed, placing the filter box back into the S8, and closing the top cover. We'll squeeze these 2 tabs right here to remove the cover of the roller portion, lifting it right up and out of the unit. Lifting the rollers straight up and out, they remove very easily. I'll remove both of them now. And we can see that they're coded by color and shape. The S8 is different from the S7 as it uses dual rollers in this model. This setup makes it easy to clean, but we'll reinstall it now. Again, key to fit in the right slot and only in one direction. They fall right in. I rotate the brush out of the way, place the cover back in the notch, and press it down till it snaps, and we're done. I'll peel away the mop cloth now so we can have a quick look. It's held on by Velcro predominantly, and then slides out off to the right to remove it from the track. We'll do that now. And it's a microfiber mop cloth with Velcro with some contours for cleaning. And we can see the Velcro pads that hold it in, the dual ultrasonic zones that have been upgraded for the S8. There was only a single one for the S7. I slide the mop pad back in now into that track. Easy with 2 hands probably. It goes right in, and gently press it back down onto the Velcro and we're done. My wife opted to order a second mop cloth with this purchase. We also see the standard corner brush found on many robot vacuums, as well as the standard front swivel wheel also found on many robot vacuums. The tire tread is very good on the main wheels. This wheel setup, as well as its springy suspension, is found on many robot vacuums. I'll now peel that sticker off of the front sensor, and we'll take a look at that front sensor. There's a whole lot of sensors in there, but it's very hard to see through the tinted glass. Making our way to the base station now, we'll start at the right, which is the dustbin. Removing the cover reveals the bag that's already installed. We'll remove it to have a look, and we'll see a switch in there detecting that the bag has been removed. The bag does have a tab that can be pulled to close it when removing, so none of the debris falls out. We're going to push that back down, open it back up, and reinstall this bag, pushing down that switch as we do. This cover is extremely robust, probably just to fit the contour of the unit. I'll place it back in and we'll move on to the next one, which is the clean water. This one has a foldable handle for easy removal. I quickly remove the packaging material around this container, and it feels like a well-designed container. It doesn't feel cheap. We'll take a look inside. The cover snaps open and there is a silicone seal in there. Very good, watertight. There's a sensor on the bottom to detect when it is empty and a hose that allows it to fill from the bottom up through into the unit from the top. We'll close it up and move on to the next tank, which is the dirty water tank, also having a fold-out handle for convenience. This one also had packaging material to be removed. It's made just like the previous tank with the snap lid and the seal, except it has a sensor on top, a float that lets it know when it's full instead of empty. Snap it back shut, and we're going to reinstall it back into the unit. And that concludes our tour of the 3 stations on top of the unit. I'll hold the power button in now to turn it on. And then place it onto the dock so we can begin charging. While charging, we'll continue the preparations. We'll be filling the water tank with clean water as well as our cleaning solution. I have the Braava tank right next to it for comparison. We have ZeroWater with 0 hardness that we use for our Euro coffee machine as well as the Braava. We'll be using it for this machine as well. And I want to see exactly how much it holds, so I'm using a liter pitcher and filling up 1 liter at a time into this container. And I got most of it in on the first go around. There's 1 and there's 2. For our third one, we'll evaluate it from the side. And we see as the water pours in, the line comes right up to the bottom of those plastic moldings right there for 3 liters. We also purchased Omo, the recommended floor cleaner for the S8, and it uses 1/3 of a cap per liter. 3 liters means 1 entire cap. So we'll open this up and remove the seal. Try to get a cap full without spilling. Pour it into our tank. Knowing how much water to add, I would add the cap fill first into the tank. So I'm going to give it just a little shake and place it back onto the base station. We'll now install our software onto the phone and connect our device to the network. Using this code on the pamphlet, it opens up a URL that will take us to our app store, depending on what phone we have. And we'll install the app now. After that finishes, we open it up. It takes us to a login screen or a sign up. We made an account when we ordered, so we're just going to log in. It kicks off things with an extremely long user and agreement policy that I'm just going to scroll through very quickly, and we click agree. It would like to find devices on a local network, we allow it. There's a request to provide optional feedback for the service. And now we reach scan to connect. It requests access to the camera. The cover of the S8 is lifted, exposing the QR code. Clicking OK on the access to the camera, we point the camera at the QR code to identify it to the software. Now we're instructed to hold the 2 outer buttons on the S8 for a few seconds until the Wi-Fi is reset. We do that now.
Resetting Wi-Fi.
And I push it back onto the charger. I click the Wi-Fi as reset button on the app and then click next. Enabling the location permission allows the Wi-Fi name to be retrieved from the network. Now I'm just typing in my Wi-Fi password. I say yes to allow the device to join. Phone is being connected to the device. Transferring information to the device, and the device is connected to the network. Now loading for its first connection to the device on the network. We agree again to more privacy stuff, except this time we don't get to read it. Realizing it's our first time running the application, it gives us some important safety notes about what not to do. Also a map saving feature that I'll be turning on later. Offline map that I'll be turning on later. Less collision mode that I accidentally turned on right now, so it's on. It wants to know if we're a home with pets. Tell him, Lily. S8 main screen, it says no map is found because there's been no mapping run yet, but what we want to do now is upgrade the firmware. So we click on the hamburger on the top right. We scroll all the way down to the bottom. For more updates, there's a little red indicator there. And I'm going to be setting auto update to on, but I still want to update now, so I'm going to press that. And I'm going to speed this up really fast for the download, as well as the installation.
Updating firmware. This may take 5 to 10 minutes.
And just a few minutes later,
Firmware update complete.
I take it back to the main screen and we're ready to continue. Lily has graciously offered to help with testing. She even let us borrow some toys as obstructions. Maybe just one toy is an obstruction. Well, maybe no toys as obstructions. I want to point out before we test that the kitchen was just remodeled and half the house is under construction. This side of the house is still under construction. Nothing behind the curtain will be tested. Everything from the lab, office space, and guest room is being stored in the living room and dining room right now, which is why I haven't made any electronics repair videos in a while. This should, however, provide for a suitable obstacle course for our new S8. I've also left some cables dangling about, and other dangerous monsters lurking around. The Roomba treated the edge of this shag rug like a cliff. We'll see how the new robot does with it. I purposely left this chair out because I want to see how issues like this are handled by the robot. Continuing with our menu on the top right, manage maps, and I'm turning on map saving. Our home is set for the default of single level. I press create new map, and I choose quick mapping, which is just mapping only. No mopping, no cleaning, just mapping. It says loading map, and shortly thereafter the machine immediately takes off on a mapping run. The map is updated live as it explores. Running with the vacuum off for a mapping run, it's dead silent, and I am expecting it to cover every square inch of the floor as the Roomba did. As it turns around and starts scanning, a large portion of the map is immediately updated, and I realize it is not going to have to go around every square inch to update the map for the entire house. Dino, our threat, is immediately located and placed on the map. Let's see how it does, and let's see how quick it takes to map the entire house using this technology versus going through every square inch of the house. And in fairness, when I say entire house, half the house is blocked off right now, but we're still going to see that it's working extremely quickly as compared to covering the entire floor. Lily's first interaction was better than expected. Now this portion of the shag rug is heavily trafficked. It is the only side that the other vacuum cleaner was easily able to get up onto, and this is a fail point here. This portion is generally blocked off by the Roomba, but we're going to see how this vacuum cleaner does, and it did not have to get up against the cabinet, so we don't know if it's going to work or not in actual cleaning, but we'll let it proceed. It did stop here in front of this cabinet, which is a reflective surface, and this portion of the carpet, which is very high and perceived as a cliff, but it looks like this time it did manage to escape. That could be a good sign. I'm just going to skip ahead now very quickly as it maps the rest of the house. We could watch it on the map as it draws out all the areas which it discovered. We get to that portion on the table, I pull the chair out, mapping effortlessly in and out, and it's done, goes around Joey, and now it hits this one spot.
Mapping complete. Review in app.
8 minutes later, mapping complete. Unbelievable. So now it makes its way back to the base station. 8 minutes for the entire mapping, 2% of the battery consumed, 64 square meters of cleaning area discovered for this mapping run. Outstanding job.
Charging.
We're informed the map is saved and told about the possibility for editing. I'll zoom into this map and see that it did try and figure out some of the rooms, but not all of them, as well as some obstructions that it had found. You can see where they're annotated on the map. Also, shoes and various other items have been specifically identified on the map. I'll click on that square box on the right, and then I'll choose 3D map. And we see that this looks pretty cool. I don't know if it's as functional to work with as the 2D map, but it's definitely interesting to look at. I want to go through some of the settings before I first test. I'll start with carpet settings. Dynamic lift is on to raise the mop on the carpet. Carpet boost is on to increase the vacuum on carpet. And deep carpet cleaning is switched off. Next is floor cleaning settings. And I'll leave this clean along floor direction switched off for now. Next is dock settings. I've left all these to the default modes, but I may be adjusting some of them later depending on how it functions. Note that mop wash frequency is set for 20 minutes of mop use and not 20 minutes of vacuum use. There are a couple of robot voice languages available. Next is robot settings. Lights, child lock, do not disturb, all default. Off-peak charging is off. Offline map is off right now, and it's set up for metric. Obviously, cleaning history is going to be empty. And maintenance should all be at 100%, having never been used before. We're going to be getting into our first cleaning run now, and I'm just going to be posting some excerpts.
Starting to clean.
Initially, there's no water in the mop, so it's going to do a cleaning cycle, and at the end, it's going to fill it up with water. I don't believe that it could just fill the mop without first cleaning the mop.
Going to wash the mop. Starting to wash the mop. Mop washed. Resuming cleaning.
First observation is when this starts, it does the outer border of the map, and it doesn't bump into anything. It hugs everything. The sensors allow for that to happen, as opposed to the Roomba, which uses that front bumper. But when it gets right over here, I notice what I think is going to be some trouble. I've sped this up, but we can see it almost looks like it's getting stuck, but manages to break free. I'll skip all the rest of this and then come back to an area that I know will be doomed to failure. This area right here is a valley blocked on one side by the high side of this shag rug, and the other side a reflective surface of the TV cabinet, and this thing just lost it. It did not know what to do. Completely stuck. We wanted to see how long it would be before it would actually fail. That's what we did.
He's just gonna dig a hole. That's fine. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Error 4. Clip sensor error.
Error 4, clip sensor error.
Sensors move robot away from drops and restart.
And it failed where we thought it would, so we were going to move it because we're going to use this as an opportunity for testing.
Resuming. Positioning. Stand by.
In testing, we attempted to cover the mirrored surface up front as to not distract the robot, but backing up onto the shag rug proved to be an insurmountable task. Going forward onto the rug seems to be okay, but backing up can't do it. And I knew that would be the case. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to stop it and bring it home and make the changes since we knew this was going to happen, and we're just going to retest everything. I'm going to block that area from being tested, so I'm going to go back to the menu and manage maps. And when that map loads, I'm going to click edit. And in edit, there are no-go zones right here. I'm going to select that and click OK after I read that information. And I'm going to zoom in on the area that I want to work on. And this is around that area that got stuck, that room. And I'll select invisible wall for this task, as I believe that to be appropriate for this situation. And I'm going to stretch the wall out as I got it into position where I believe it to be, where I want it to stop. And I'm approximating because I don't really know exactly down to the foot where the chair is, but I believe right about here should be good. And then I will click the check mark to save it. and it will update the map when I do. And that should be it. And with that, a couple changes before we get underway. I'll click the word full and it'll open up some options here where I could choose the route on the bottom. And this is for fast cleaning. I'm going to leave it on standard. And the scrub intensity is moderate or intense. I'm going to leave ours on intense. Suction goes from quiet to balanced to turbo or to max. We're going to leave ours on balanced. And with that, we'll kick off our first full run.
Starting to clean.
And things kick off just as they had done the previous evening.
Going to wash the mop.
I generally wouldn't show this twice, but Lily took an unbelievable interest in the cleaning of this mop. An important note that I want to make, if you look at the map on the bottom right, I have not yet separated the rooms correctly, and I'm using the separations that I found during mapping, which is entirely incorrect right now. This will have a significant impact on how it cleans now versus when I correct all the different rooms in the house. We'll see that later. The mop starts off with the cleaning of the perimeter of a given room, but we could see because my map shows half the house as one room, it's going to circle half the house before it starts that back and forth motion that we generally see when it cleans a room. It made it past its trouble spot again. I managed to survive the hanging cable test this time. We could see in the other room the no-go zone virtual wall that was put up stops it from crossing that area about 1 foot inward from that carpet. All rugs and mats are recorded to the map, and I did not realize, when you think about it, the second run is actually going to be better than the first because it knows where the rug borders are. It did get caught on the foot of this table, a no-go zone for the Roomba, but managed to break itself free. It did get stuck again on the foot of this table. But after some time, it managed to break itself free. At this point, it just completed that full circle and now wants to start mopping this room in a back and forth motion. Again, this room is half the house and it's not very efficient, but we know that when we add the rooms and separate them, it's going to work better. We'll do a close-up of the vacuuming and mopping quality on the floor later in the video. It treats these low mats like carpets. It has found Desmond and it's treating him like an obstruction, very carefully going around him and taking note that he's there in that position for future reference, as we'll see on the map later. It did very well navigating between the chairs and under the table, which is a test I wanted to do. That's why I pulled this chair out, so that could happen. This behavior of jumping on and off the carpet seems to be alleviated on the second go-around as it identifies the borders of the carpets in the house where it meets the floor. And we'll note that Desmond has been relocated. It made its way to the kitchen now, and it's starting its back and forth motion in the kitchen, having done the perimeter. But we'll see that the vacuuming times and the mop times are different, and at this moment it just hit 20 minutes on the mop, and it stops and returns to the base to clean the mop. And we're 28 minutes in, but 20 minutes of mopping. Skipping ahead to completion, we could see the path that was taken before the rooms were properly identified. We could also see the obstructions and items that were found along the way as it ran. Some of them were readily identified by the AI, and some of them were considered unknown but obstructions. This run took 74 minutes with 4 mop washes. I've updated map to annotate the rooms correctly as well as obstructions. We'll run it again under the same conditions and see how it does. Right from the start, we can see the strategy has changed because now it's only working on one room at a time instead of running around the entire house, filling in the entire area before proceeding to the next room. Stopping here to clean the mop, I should point out that I changed the mop cleaning interval to 15 minutes from 20 minutes. Another mop cleaning. And the last mop cleaning here. And now we're finished so we could compare the two. The optimized map took 65 minutes with 5 mop washes, with the old map took 74 minutes with 4 mop washes. A tremendous improvement. Our invisible wall area provides us with the opportunity to see an area that is mopped and vacuumed versus an area right next to it untouched. We'll let this dry for a moment and we'll have a look. We have our untouched area with the dirt and the hair and the spots, and as I make my way across that barrier, we see tiles with not a single mark on it, perfectly clean. Dustbin emptying generally happens at the end of cleaning, and it's very loud. And it's about 25 seconds. Emptying the dirty water bin, we'll see what we've collected. Both impressive and nasty. The mop head after several cleanings is still clean. The cleaning cycle works very well. This one's still wet. Like all these systems, hair always wraps around the end of these brushes. Though these plastic pieces can be pulled out for easier removal of the hair, they're popped right back in and put back into place. This should be done every so often depending on how much hair you have around your house for optimum performance. It's important to check this area in the filter box for larger debris. We have found some caught in there. And the heater, now standard on the S8, dries the mop after use. Ours is currently set for 3 hours and seems to do the job. And that concludes this video on the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra unboxing and evaluation. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button to get notified of more videos like this when they come out. When other videos on this topic come out with regard to evaluation or settings or comparisons, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?